Hi everyone, this is a video response for Phoenix that I have discovered this morning through Annie, and I love this tag video about the first time, and I wanted to try an answer. This is my first tag video. So, first question: how did you encounter paganism, witchcraft or magic for the first time? I don't remember exactly the first time I encountered this, but I can say at 14 it was really an obsession for me. I have began with my tarot deck, the Dragon's Tarot, and after I have made some research, but there was no internet or anything like that, so it was maybe, I don't know, you know, all these movies and this is like that there has been not first meeting. It has always been with me, but at 14 it was the beginning of the thing. What was your first book? This one, an old book, I Magic Techniques from Francis King and Stephen Skinner. At the time we had only one library in my town that made some magic books, and it was like this side of part of the library, and the books were really expensive, so this one has been like for 5 years my only book. There are some good things, basic things about eye magic. I don't practice eye magic, and I didn't practice really rituals before having internet and watching about Wicca. What was the first spell you ever performed? At the time on internet they say that if you haven't dedicated yourself to magic, to the goddess, to higher forces, you could not do magic. So I did my dedication ritual as my first ritual, maybe not a spell, ritual, and it was to the goddess, and I have found it back like months ago in my first book, magic book, first, how you say that, English is so difficult, my first book I have written about it, and it's still good. I really enjoy to be dedicated to the goddess, and the first spell I did was for my cousin years after, and she was actually ill of lupus, very hard form of lupus, nearly dying, and I did this spell, and for 10 years she has been good, in good health. She even had children. The doctor said she won't never have children. What was your first crystal or stone? I remember buying rose quartz in the fair, you know, where there are a lot of stone sellers, and I was like 7, and I have always loved rose quartz. Like my first stone, second stone, third stone were rose quartz, and every time I have to buy something particular in stone, like a pendulum, crystal skull, or the first time is always a rose quartz. Who was the first god or goddess you encountered on your path? The first god I really loved was Anubis when I was 12. I was really in love with Egyptian mythology, and the first goddess I really worked with and I've had relation with was Freya. She's still my matron. And the first god with whom I really worked was and is still Apollo. I have before talked, communicate with gods, but I had no real relation in my heart with them, except Anubis, but I have never worked with him. Maybe one day. How did you first meet other pagans? It's difficult for the word pagan because first I met was some persons that made witchcraft. It was actually one of my friends, the cutest guy I have ever met, but the more black magic I have ever met. He has worked with demons for years and years, and one time he went really mad and wanted to sacrifice me to his demons. It was really weird, and honestly it was scaring. And meeting pagans really like Wiccans or really have a religion for it. It's just for not so many years and not really in real. One of my friend, a young woman, has become with us, like my husband that were also practicing witchcraft. We have become more pagans, but meeting real pagans, as I define it in my head, not energeticians or healers or that really believe in religion, in god and goddess, and or in pagan gods. No, I don't feel that the persons in well-being that I met in my work were really believing in these gods. They are just like images for them or symbols. What was the first festival, meetup or public gathering you attended? I came to the Crystal Skulls gathering in south of France maybe 4 or 5 years ago, and it was my only gathering that was a pagan style, and it was really great. An old Native American man did the opening ritual, and it was really strong, feeling the energy coming to the earth and ground us really strongly, and feeling all the skulls all around us. All the skulls were in round in the circle with us. It was strong. And it was great. I worked there selling stones. It's my work. It was my work before I became ill, and it was really a great moment not to have to tell and explain to people why the stones are making things to you, and that they are alive, and that they can help you. It was really great to have people, to meet people that were in the same movement, and we could talk about higher things, more interesting things than the basics. The first class or workshop I took, it was with someone that is now a friend. It was a shamanic workshop about water. it's the only workshop I've ever made in shamanism. I don't like particularly workshops, or I don't particularly like being in a group. Working with Annie in the seeker sessions, it's really a first moment where I enjoy being with people, but you know, the screen is great, because when I get angry for something, I can just shut my mouth, angry in my corner, and come back when I am better, because sometimes and very often I become angry for little things that are not really important, and Annie is really the kind of person I can say to myself, get it to her, she will make the good answer, and she always knows how you answer, to just put the right thing. The person understands what she has said, what she has to learn, and have a smile, and not my angry nya 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 answer. So Annie, you're really great for that. The first chant I learned, it was in this workshop about water. It was a Native American chant called Nibiwabo, and it's the chant of woman going to the river to take water and carrying it to the village. And it says in substance that the water that I carry is the blood of my mother, and it's also the blood of my body. The first method of divination I learned was tarot, and it was the first experience that made me enter first in witchcraft, and after in Wicca and shamanism and other things. I still love tarot, and I still use this tarot. Like my today's card is the Hermit with dragon on it. It was also my yesterday card. So I love tarot, yes. My first tool, it was actually my tarot. And the first tool I made for me was my staff. It was also after this shamanic workshop, and I don't have especially Wiccan tools. I am thinking of it, working on it. We'll see. Maybe for the next session with Annie, more dedicating sessions to Wicca. What was the first method of exercise you learned for energy work? Really, it was breathing, because breathing is the most easy way to have power on your energy, to rise energy, to calm energy. And after I have worked with stones, feeling the energy of the stones and working on my energy or energy of places with the stones. And I also learned Reiki. But you know, I have always seen auras and spirits, and seeing the energy of the elements. So I have always worked with it, be with it.